Hi, I'm Gil Hibben. I've been making knives for almost 50 years now. Started high school, don't even count that one, in 1950. But 57 is when I first started. Now in 64 full-time, been full-time since 64. I've had the privilege of being inducted into the Cutlery Hall of Fames and also Knife Throwers Hall of Fame, and even a couple of Martial Arts Hall of Fame. It just shows you, if you follow your dream, you never know where it takes you. What I'm holding here is one of the buoys that we have on display at the Alamo in Texas. We want to cover a series of tapes. The first one we're going to be talking with today is how to grind a knife. And we're going to be just doing some very basic grinds, what I call a rough grind. The grinding done before heat treat. We're going to show you the basics, ABCs, and either if you're an aspiring knife maker or an old guy that wants to see how Gil does it, or if you're a collector and you want to see how your knife was made if you bought one of mine, then come on in the shop and let's get started. So we have a bar of 440C surgical stainless. It's a 1/4+ inch thick by 2 inches wide. And I've got this pattern, a Skagel camp knife. I call it a Skagel buoy. We put blue layout dye on the steel, and I can take this scribe and I just scratch through that blue layout dye, and it leaves a very bright line. Let me see if I can hold that up. We can get the light just right. But I have a bright, very, very tiny line using this scribe, and now I can saw very accurately right on that line. This is a metal cutting bandsaw that cuts about 100 feet a minute, and I'm using a bimetal blade, which means the teeth are actually harder than the back of the bandsaw, which makes it flexible. I always cut on the outside with steady pressure up the saw do the work. When you buy your bars of steel, they come in what they call an annealed state. You can saw them, drill holes if you need to. After you harden, then it's as hard as the drill bit or the saw blade is, so you can't do this. When they make the steel, they get a lot of carbon on the surface, and they'll put it in an acid to pickle it to get that off. So we have to grind down beneath those surface pits that we have. Now we got it all silhouetted pretty. Now we got to get out these surface pits, and then we can get down to it. I'm not so much worried about down here on this cutting edge, because I'm going to grind all off anyway. And make sure it's in the center. I flip it over. There we have a center line. What we have here is an 8-inch rubber contact wheel that has grooves in it, which gives me a kind of a gouging cutting action. It also brings air with it, which helps keep it cool. So what we're going to be doing, since we have to remove so much metal here, is we're going to grind from the center of our radius and in both directions. So first thing we're going to do is do our subdominant, or our top bevels first, and then we'll come back and do the bottom. We want our final grind, our dominant line, to be ground last. Time and pressure. In other words, how long you stay in one spot and how hard you push affects how deep you grind. Now the idea, once we get that clean, is get both sides the same. Now I'm watching my center line. It tells me where I need to take the metal off. So I look at this line and also look at my center line. I've drawn a little pencil line where I want my grind line to start. So I have a vision from the top here. So I'm using steady pressure and constant speed to be grinding nice and even. When I get out to the point, I let off pressure. I can always grind this point separate. We don't want to grind the end off. And we're going to learn to read the lines, how far this bevel is. And this is how we're going to end up with a nice hollow grind, by reading what we have left. Every time you take a pass, you leave a track, and you can see where you've been. You can adjust it from there. It's a lot like, I guess, like the pilots would say, flying with the seat of your pants. You get a feel. And you can see the track where I'm cutting. All right, now you notice we got a track going down the center here. So what we're going to do is come back. I'm going to bring that belt back over a little bit. This time I'm going to tip it just a little bit. See that grinding, what I'm doing? I'm going back down. Now I'm not touching this line up here. And I'm feathering out. Feathering out that line in between. So now it looks like it's a long hollow grind, even though we're using an 8-inch wheel. You want to end up with this point the same. Notice that this one here is further back than this one. So this means we've got to bring up this line just a little bit higher to make them the same. If you change your angle different ways, it'll help reveal where you're at too. We're straight here on our ricasso, and we're straight back up here. So this one is rough, what we call rough grind. Now this particular style has got a ridge down the center grind line, a lot like a dagger. So rather than do a dagger, we're going to grind this one a little more differently. We're going to grind it with the cutting edge up. And that way we're going to establish that center line. What I'm trying to show you here is freehand grinding, where some of the fantasy pieces that I do, I have to be able to grind all kinds of different directions. So I'm not limited by a tool rest. Now I'm using about half of the grinding wheel. But we'll heat treat these at 1850 degrees for a 40-minute soak. And that'll allow the steel to get to its maximum hardness. And we'll draw temper it at about 400 degrees to bring it back to the desired hardness that I like, which is about 58. So anyway, good luck in your knife making or collecting, whatever it might be, or hopefully both. We'll see you next time. Come on out to one of my knife making classes. If you think this is fun, get in there and give it a try, and I'll make sure you leave with a nice knife if we have to fix up something for you. A lot of fun, be creative, and you young folks out there, no matter what it is, follow your dream. We'll see you next time.